What if I told you that a dad with zero coding experience built a $30,000 per year app using nothing but his laptop and 30 spare minutes a day? No boot camp, no computer science degree, just Cursor AI and the determination to change his life. I'm Via, and today I'm sitting down with Alex Thompson, who went from complete coding newbie to building a profitable SaaS app that now generates consistent monthly revenue. Alex, before we dive in, tell our viewers where you were just 8 months ago.
Via, honestly. I was that guy sitting in the soccer sidelines every Tuesday and Thursday, watching my kids practice, scrolling through my phone, feeling completely stuck. I had this corporate marketing job that paid the bills, but I knew I was capable of more. I kept seeing all these stories about people building apps and making money online, but I always thought, well, I can't code, so that's not for me.
So what changed? What was that moment where you thought, maybe I can actually do this?
My daughter Emma, she's 9. She came home one day frustrated because her teacher was using this clunky app for tracking reading minutes. The thing barely worked, crashed constantly. Emma looks at me and says, "Dad, why don't you just make a better one?" Out of the mouths of babes, right? That's when I started researching if there was actually a way to build apps without knowing how to code.
And that's when you discovered Cursor AI?
Exactly. I stumbled across this YouTube video, ironically, a lot like this one, where someone was using Cursor AI to build a simple web app just by describing what they wanted in plain English. I thought, there's no way it's that simple, but I had 30 minutes to kill before picking up the kids, so I downloaded it and started.
Walk me through that very first experiment. What did you try to build?
Something embarrassingly simple. I wanted to make a basic calculator that could split restaurant bills. I literally typed into Cursor, create a web page that calculates how to split a restaurant bill between friends, including tip calculation.
And what happened?
Via, I'm not exaggerating. Within 2 minutes, I had a working calculator. It had buttons, it calculated correctly, it even looked decent. I sat there in my car staring at my laptop screen thinking, I just built something. I actually built something that works.
That must have been incredible.
It was like discovering fire. I spent the rest of that week's soccer practices building little tools, a grocery list manager, a simple expense tracker. Each time I'd describe what I wanted, and Cursor would generate the code. When I got stuck, I'd ask it to explain what the code was doing, and it would break it down in terms I could understand.
So when did the light bulb go off about building something you could actually sell?
About 3 weeks in, I was building these little practice apps, and I started noticing a pattern. Every parent at soccer practice had the same problems: keeping track of team schedules, managing carpools, collecting money for team events. The existing solutions were either overcomplicated team management platforms that cost $50 a month, or parents were stuck using group texts and spreadsheets.
So you saw a gap in the market.
Exactly. I thought, what if I could build something simple specifically for youth sports parents? Something that just handles the basics really well. I started sketching out ideas during my commute, which is another 30-minute window I had each day.
Tell me about that commute planning process.
I'd sit on the train with a notebook and just write down problems I heard parents complaining about. I forgot about practice. Who's driving Sarah this week? Did everyone pay for the tournament fees? I wasn't writing code yet. I was just understanding the problem deeply.
All right, this is where our viewers are going to want the exact step-by-step process. How did you go from idea to actual app using Cursor?
Okay, so the first real session was on a Saturday morning. Kids were watching cartoons. I had my coffee, and I opened Cursor. I started with what I call the conversation approach. Instead of trying to build everything at once, I had a conversation with Cursor about what I wanted to create.
What did that conversation look like?
I typed something like, I want to create a web application for youth sports teams. Parents should be able to see upcoming games and practices, sign up for carpools, and track who has paid team fees. Can you help me plan out the structure of this app? Cursor didn't just give me code, it gave me a whole project plan. It suggested I start with a simple dashboard, recommended using React for the front end, Node.js for the back end, and even suggested a database structure.
Did you understand any of that technical stuff?
Not a word. But here's the beautiful thing about Cursor. I just asked it to explain everything like I was a complete beginner. I'd copy-paste the technical recommendations and say, explain this to me like I'm 5. It would break down exactly what each technology does and why it recommended it.
So how did you actually start building?
Cursor walked me through setting up what it called a development environment. Sounds scary, but it literally gave me step-by-step instructions. Download Node.js from this website, open your terminal, type these commands. I felt like I was following a really good recipe.
And then the actual coding began?
The first feature I built was the team schedule display. I told Cursor, create a calendar view that shows upcoming games and practices. Each event should show the date, time, location, and whether it's a game or practice. Within minutes, I had a working calendar. It wasn't pretty, but it functioned. Then I'd ask Cursor to make it look better. Can you style this calendar to look more professional? Maybe use a clean, modern design with easy-to-read fonts.
I'm sure it wasn't all smooth sailing. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced?
Oh man, plenty. The biggest one was probably around week 4 when I tried to add user authentication, basically letting parents create accounts and log in. I kept getting error messages I didn't understand.
How did you handle that with Cursor?
This is where Cursor really shines. I'd copy the exact error message and paste it into Cursor with something like, I'm getting this error when trying to implement user login. I'm a beginner. Can you explain what's wrong and how to fix it? Cursor would not only fix the code, but explain why the error happened in the first place. It was like having a patient coding tutor available 24/7.
Any other major roadblocks?
Database stuff was tricky. I needed to store team information, parent details, carpool signups. All that data had to live somewhere and connect properly. I remember spending a whole week of soccer practices just learning about databases through conversations with Cursor. I'd ask things like, I need to store information about teams, parents, and carpools. How should I organize this data so everything connects properly? Cursor would explain database relationships using analogies I could understand, like how a parent belongs to a team and a carpool signup connects a parent to a specific game.
And you were building all of this in just 30-minute chunks?
That was actually an advantage. I couldn't get overwhelmed because I literally didn't have time. Each session I'd focus on one small feature. Today I'm adding the ability to RSVP for games. Today I'm working on the payment tracking. Small, focused progress.
When did you realize you actually had something valuable?
Month 3. I had built enough features that I could actually use it for Emma's soccer team. I showed it to a few other parents and their reaction was immediate. When can we start using this? Can you set this up for our team too?
That must have been validating.
Incredibly. But the real breakthrough came when one parent said, I'd pay $10 a month for this if it means I never have to deal with another group text about carpools. That's when I realized I wasn't just building a cool project. I was solving a real problem people would pay for.
How did you transition from free tool to paid product?
I went back to Cursor and had another planning conversation. I want to turn this into a subscription service where teams pay monthly. What do I need to add for payment processing and user management? Cursor guided me through integrating Stripe for payments, setting up different subscription tiers, and building an admin panel where I could manage customer accounts. Again, all through simple conversations and step-by-step instructions.
How long did that monetization process take?
About 3 weeks of my 30-minute sessions. The hardest part wasn't the technical implementation. Cursor handled that. The hardest part was deciding on pricing and figuring out my value proposition.
Let's talk numbers. Where are you now? 8 months later?
We're at $2,500 in monthly recurring revenue, so about $30,000 annually. I have 47 teams using the platform across 12 different sports leagues. Some months are better. We hit $3,200 in March during peak soccer season.
That's incredible for a side project. What does your routine look like now?
Still the same 30-minute chunks, but now it's split between customer support and new features. I spend soccer practice time responding to user feedback and my commute time planning new features with Cursor.
Any new features you're excited about?
We just launched a tournament bracket generator that automatically updates as games are played. Parents love it. Next up, I'm working on updating the mobile app, again using Cursor to guide me through React Native development.
What's your long-term vision?
Honestly, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm considering leaving my corporate job next year. If we can get to $6,000 monthly recurring revenue, I'll have replaced my salary doing something I actually enjoy with complete control over my...
Alex, for viewers who are inspired by your story but don't know where to start, what's your advice?
Start impossibly small. Don't try to build the next Facebook. Build something that solves one tiny problem you personally have. Use your commute, your lunch break, those 20 minutes waiting for your kids. You have more time than you think.
Any specific tips for using Cursor effectively?
Treat it like a conversation with a really smart friend who happens to know everything about coding. Don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. Ask it to explain things multiple ways if you don't understand. And here's a pro tip. Whenever you get stuck, copy-paste your error messages directly into Cursor. It's like having a debugging expert on speed dial.
What would you tell someone who's afraid they're not technical enough?
8 months ago, I didn't know what HTML stood for. I promise you, if you can have a conversation and describe what you want, you can build with Cursor. The technical stuff, Cursor handles that. Your job is to understand the problem you're solving and communicate clearly what you want.
Any final thoughts for our AI Velocity Lab community?
The barrier to entry has never been lower. We're living in this incredible moment where AI tools like Cursor can turn ideas into reality faster than ever before. But you still have to start. You still have to put in those 30-minute sessions. The AL amplifies your effort. It doesn't replace it.
There you have it. From zero coding experience to $30,000 ARR in 8 months, all built in spare moments using Cursor AI. If Alex's story inspired you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more AI success stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, what problem in your life could you solve with an app? What's stopping you from starting today? Next week, I'm interviewing Sarah, who used Claude AI to build a content creation business that hit 6 figures in her first year. You won't want to miss that one. Until then, remember, your next breakthrough might be just 30 minutes away.